All right, diving right in today, we're taking a look at the world of industrial monitors, specifically the 8-inch second gen from the IMD series.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, a listener sent over the manual and some marketing materials for these things.
Nice.
Wanted to really understand what this tech's all about, and honestly, the deeper I go, the more I'm like, huh, this is pretty cool.
Right. It's not exactly flashy consumer tech, but
Exactly, but there's a whole world here.
absolutely. Industrial monitors, they're kind of the unsung heroes in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's crack open this manual and see what we're dealing with here. So first off, 8-inch TFT LCD screen, resolution 124 by 768, not bad.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, and they're really hyping the brightness and contrast ratios.
Makes sense.
Gotta be visible.
In all sorts of conditions, yeah.
But here's what jumps out at me: the touch options.
Okay.
Resistive, capacitive, or even non-touch. They've got the IMD 080M200, the IMD 080M210, the IMD 080M210, the IMD 08M220. So many choices. What's the deal with that?
Well, think about where these things are used. You've got a factory floor. Maybe someone's trying to use the touch screen with, like, greasy gloves on.
You're not going to want your iPad screen out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Resistive touch is way more durable for that, but then maybe in a control room, you need something a little more precise, responsive,
Makes sense.
capacitive touch, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about the right tool for the right job.
I like that. Okay, speaking of the right tool, this manual is really pushing how tough this monitor is.
Yeah.
Aluminum alloy body, IP65 protection. What's that even mean in real life?
Okay, this thing is built like a tank. IP65, you can spray it with water, drop it in the dust, it'll keep running.
Seriously.
No joke. Picture this. A cleaning crew come through with a pressure washer, blast this thing accidentally, and it's fine. That's IP65.
So no using your laptop on a construction site?
Nope. Not unless you want a brick.
Right. I'm seeing here it can operate from -10 degrees to 60 degrees C. That's a wild range, right?
Yeah, pretty extreme. Definitely tells you this thing isn't meant for your average office.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a tough screen, handles the heat, the cold. What about connections?
Let's see.
The manual's got HDMI, DVI, VGA, audio I/O. It's got it all.
That's key in industrial settings, you know? You got to connect to all sorts of equipment.
Old stuff, new stuff.
Yeah. Maybe a machine from the 80s still using VGA.
Yeah.
Then a modern control system running HDMI. Maybe even security cameras.
Wow.
Having all those options means you're good to go no matter what, and it auto-detects the right input so you're not messing around with settings constantly.
Smart. Now, one thing I noticed in the marketing is they're saying this 8-inch second gen is for more than just kiosks. They're talking manufacturing lines, control systems, even communications infrastructure.
Right.
Can you give me a real-world example? Like, how would this actually be used out there?
Sure. Imagine it's part of a chemical plant control system. It's displaying all the vital data, temperatures, pressures, so the operators can monitor everything and adjust as needed.
Oh, I see.
Or picture it on a factory line, showing assembly instructions or running quality checks. Keeps everything running smoothly.
So it's not just displaying stuff. It's about control, safety, keeping things running.
You got it. These monitors, they're like the bridge between us and these super complex machines and processes.
Fascinating. There's this one bit about an upgrade for a super bright display,
Yeah.
over 1,000 nits, and an auto brightness sensor. Why would those matter? Is it for like outdoor use or something?
You're on the right track. Super bright, that's for direct sunlight. Make sure you can still see everything clearly, whether you're outside or in a brightly lit factory.
Makes sense.
And the auto brightness that adjusts the screen to the ambient light saves energy, makes the monitor last longer.
So it adapts to whatever environment it's in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Got to be flexible.
right. Now, they keep using this phrase industrial grade quality, and honestly, I'm not sure what that means beyond just being tough.
Good question. It goes deeper than just the physical stuff. It's about the components, how it's built, making sure it's reliable for the long haul.
And what about, like interference from machinery or electrical systems?
That's where EMC standards come in, electromagnetic compatibility.
Right, I see that in the manual.
Basically, it's designed to work reliably even with all that electromagnetic activity going on around it.
So it's not going to go haywire because a machine turns on next to it?
Exactly. Downtime can be super expensive in these settings, so that kind of resilience is key.
Gotcha. Okay, tough, well-connected, resists interference. I'm impressed.
It's well designed, that's for sure.
Oh, one more thing. They mention a range of customization options. What does that look like?
They've got a really modular approach, so you can customize it in ways you wouldn't normally be able to with, say, a regular computer monitor.
Like what?
specialized mounting systems, specific input-output ports, even custom firmware if you need it.
So it's not one size fits all. You can tailor it to what you need.
Exactly. Shows they understand that every industrial setting is going to have different demands.
I like that. Okay, so we've covered the toughness, connections, customization. But what does all this mean for you, the listener? Why should you care about this little monitor?
That's the big question, right?
Right.
When you look around, everything's becoming more automated, more reliant on data.
True.
And you need systems that can handle that, systems that are reliable, and that's where industrial monitors come in. They're the link between us and all that complexity.
So it's bigger than just showing some numbers on a screen. It's about making sure everything runs smoothly, safely, efficiently.
You got it. As we rely more and more on these interconnected systems, these kinds of monitors, they're just going to become more crucial. It's really a window into the future of how industries are going to operate.
A window into the future of industry. I like that. Now, before we wrap up this part, there's one more detail that caught my eye.
Okay.
They mentioned this 8-inch second gen can handle 724 operation. What's the significance of that?
That basically means it's designed to run nonstop, 24/7, no problems. Super important in industrial settings. Think power plants, security systems, anything that needs constant monitoring.
So it's not going to take a break in the middle of something critical.
Nope. It's built for that kind of reliability, and that's invaluable when you're dealing with those kinds of demanding environments.
All right, so to recap, we've got a tough monitor that can handle pretty much anything you throw at it, tons of connection options, it's customizable, and it can run non-stop. That's pretty impressive.
It is. And it shows how tech is adapting to meet these very specific needs of modern industry.
Makes you wonder what's next, right? Like, where does this all go from here?
Right. There's so much potential, so much happening in the world of industrial technology.
Well, let's take a moment to really think about that as we move on to the next part of our deep dive.
It really is amazing how tech adapts, to such specific needs.
Yeah, going through all this material, it makes you realize how much we take monitors for granted.
Right.
I mean, we use them all the time, but do we ever really think about what goes into making them?
Especially these industrial ones.
Hmm.
The level of engineering to make them so rugged, reliable, it's pretty impressive when you stop and think about it.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about the tough build, the connections, the customization options, but I'm wondering, are there any downsides, like trade-offs to consider? You mentioned customization can get pricey.
It's true.
How much flexibility do you really need?
That's a good question. You always got to weigh the benefits against the cost, right? Like, do you actually need a special mounting system? Or specific input-output ports? If not, maybe a standard config is the way to go.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot, the right features for the right price.
Exactly.
What about size? This is an 8-inch monitor. Seems kind of small.
It is compact.
Are there times when you'd need something bigger?
Oh, absolutely. 8 inch is great if you're limited on space or need something portable. But if you're dealing with, like, complex data, schematics, multiple video feeds, you're going to want a bigger screen.
Makes sense. I'm also curious about the software side of things.
Yeah.
What's the operating system on this thing? Does it play nice with the different industrial software platforms out there?
That's super important. Unfortunately, the stuff we have doesn't actually specify the operating system.
Huh, interesting.
You definitely want to check compatibility with your existing setup or figure out how much work it would be to integrate it if it's a different platform.
So it's not just about the hardware. The software ecosystem has to work too.
Absolutely.
This deep dive is really showing how much goes into choosing the right monitor for these kinds of applications.
It's more than just picking a screen off the shelf, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about these monitors being like a window into the future of industry.
I did.
What are some of the trends you're excited about? What's on the horizon?
Ooh, good question. Well, one thing that's really cool is augmented reality, AR, and how it could be integrated with these displays.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine a technician wearing AR glasses, and they get real-time data from the monitor overlaid on their view of a machine.
That sounds straight out of a movie. But, like, practically speaking, how would that work?
It could revolutionize maintenance and repair. Instead of digging through manuals, technicians could have instructions, diagnostics, all projected right onto the equipment.
Wow.
It could make things so much faster, more efficient, and safer, too.
That's incredible. So the monitor becomes more than just a display. It's an interactive tool.
Exactly. And as AR gets more advanced, who knows what we'll be able to do?
Exciting to think about. What about AI? Artificial intelligence, how do you see that playing into all this?
Oh, AI could be huge. I'm picturing a monitor that analyzes the data coming from a production line and it spots a potential problem, like a bottleneck or something, before it even happens.
Predictive maintenance.
Right. Instead of reacting to problems, you're preventing them.
And AI is only getting smarter, so these monitors could play a bigger and bigger role in optimizing how things run.
My mind's kind of blown right now.
It is pretty wild.
It's like this seemingly simple piece of tech could change the game for so many industries.
And it shows that innovation doesn't always have to be flashy, right? It could be these behind-the-scenes things that really make a difference.
You mentioned earlier calling these monitors unsung heroes. What did you mean by that?
They're often tucked away in factories, control rooms. You don't really see them, but they're keeping everything running.
They're like the workhorses, quietly doing their job.
Yeah, without them, so much of what we rely on just wouldn't be possible.
This deep dive has really given me a new perspective on that.
I'm glad to hear it.
It's like we've gotten a peek behind the curtain and seen how things really work.
And it's a testament to how creative people can be, coming up with solutions to these complex problems.
Totally. Well, on that note, I think it's time to move on to the final part of our exploration.
Sounds good. I hope our listener is enjoying this deep dive as much as we are.
I'm sure they are. But before we get there, let's take a moment to think about what we've learned so far. So we started by looking at the specs of this 8-inch second gen, the ruggedness, the connectivity, how you can customize it. We talked about how it could be used in all sorts of places, not just factory floors, but even like chemical plants, manufacturing lines. And then we even got a little futuristic, thinking about AR, AI, all that.
It's been a pretty wild ride.
It has. And, it really highlights how we tend to think of tech innovation as these fancy gadgets, the stuff we use every day.
Right.
But there's this whole other world of industrial tech that's quietly changing everything.
Absolutely. It's like two separate universes almost.
Yeah, the consumer stuff and then this industrial side that's often hidden, but it's having a huge impact on our lives.
And you could argue it's even more innovative because it has to work in these crazy environments.
True. Like your smartphone doesn't have to survive getting blasted by a pressure washer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the advancements we see in industrial tech, they lead to safer factories, more efficient energy, even breakthroughs in healthcare, transportation, all sorts of stuff.
It's easy to get excited about a new phone with a better camera, but this stuff is really making a difference.
It's the foundation of so much of what we rely on. The power grid, transportation systems, manufacturing, all of it depends on this tech working behind the scenes.
This deep dive has really been eye-opening in that way. It's like we've seen the gears turning that make the world go round. But I'm curious, if you had to pick one thing you're most excited about in the future of these monitors, what would it be?
Ooh, that's tough. But honestly, the AI and machine learning stuff, that has huge potential. We're already seeing monitors that analyze data warn you about problems.
Right.
But imagine as those algorithms get even smarter,
What could they do?
they can predict issues before they even happen, optimize things in real time, learn from past events to get better and better. It's mind-blowing.
So these monitors become less like, well, monitors and more like partners working with us to make things better.
Exactly. Human expertise combined with AI, tackling these complex challenges.
That's an amazing vision. It makes you wonder what happens to us in that future. Do robots take over, or does this tech free us up to do even more?
It's the big question, isn't it? I think it's going to be a mix of both. Some jobs will change, for sure, but new ones will be created that need our creativity, our problem-solving skills.
So it's about adapting, right? Seeing tech as a tool that helps us, not something to be afraid of.
Exactly. We need to be lifelong learners, be flexible, realize the skills we need are changing all the time.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like we've gone from the nuts and bolts of industrial monitors all the way to the future of industry itself.
It's been quite a journey, and I hope it's made our listener think a little differently about the tech that's all around us.
Me too. And to you, our listener, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've learned something new, maybe even gotten a little inspired to explore the world of industrial tech yourself. Keep learning, keep exploring, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.